The three orphans in Grace Fieldhouse Orphanage at the start of the novel are Norman, Emma, and Ray. They are the most intelligent children there. Many children live together in Grace Fieldhouse Orphanage. When they get up in the morning, they start playing dress up. A maid comes to take care of them, and they all call her Mama. It was precisely when they used to eat and drink, but something odd was happening. Many numbers were printed on their throats. It was a secret that would eventually be revealed. After putting on headphones, each student had to take an exam. They were the best among them. When the results were shown in class, all three of these kids received flawless scores, and so they began to play tag. Given Norman's high IQ, he was able to identify each person individually. In the end, he had to go catch his girlfriend. There, he feigned fainting after traveling a distance and failing to locate her. Next, he saw her coming and he caught her. After entering briefly to play, they noticed an iron barrier that they were not allowed to cross. Then everybody arrived there. When they turned 12, everyone will eventually leave this orphanage. They were discussing. They began debating their next course of action after leaving. The moment has come to leave the one's orphanage that night. She was a little girl. She was then taken outside the gate by the maid. One of them saw that she had left her doll. Then they both took the doll and went to give it to her. When they arrived, they discovered that she had vanished and that a truck was the only thing there. She becomes really afraid when she looks inside the truck. What was within that vehicle? The young girl tormented the corpse. Then, from behind the truck, they heard a voice. Their health deteriorates when they first view them from below. They are unable to even believe that the maid is with them. After that, they fled and returned home. That night, they were crying in terror and considering leaving there as a group. Emma was even more terrified when she saw the maid the following morning. Afterwards, he approached and said, "Don't be afraid, smile like before." They entered a room and began debating their next course of action. They have come to the realization that exceptional quality meat is essential to a good existence. The higher the high quality, the lower the age. They realize they only had 2 months to leave this place. Then they get to the last boundary of the orphanage, which is encircled by a tall wall. When they heard the bell, they raced and congregated in one location. After that, a young lad emerged from the woods crying out that she was nowhere to be seen. When the maid noticed the clock, she immediately brought her, and they both started to wonder how the maid discovered her so soon. Then he discovers that the maid's watch is a tracking device. They have a chip inserted somewhere in their bodies. "I won't let you go away, no matter who it is." It was the maid's mind. Then the two of them discussed setting up ropes to climb up. Someone called Norman, and he left. When Norman returned, he was terrified to see the maid close to Emma. When Maid asked, "Why is she so upset?" she laughed and said, "One day she too will have to leave here. Will the tension increase?" The kids left when they heard the bell. Then they descended. They were terrified and held their breath for a long time. They were making plans for how to get up when Ray arrived the following day. After they had finished telling him the entire tale, he began to strategize with them. Ray then realizes that Emma will accompany everyone. Then he remarked, "Have you gone insane? Let's say we escape, but how will we survive the monster world outside the wall?" After that, she refused to listen to him and insisted on taking everyone else. Ray then emphasized that our chances of surviving are higher among the three of us. Everyone taken means there will be no survivors. Then Norman declared, "I will use my intelligence to save everyone, no matter what happens." They then proceeded to the residence after hearing the bell, went there and observed a fresh newborn baby being brought there by another maid. It was getting dark, and the three of them were reflecting on their respective origins. Their escape path was getting harder with two maids. They were thinking about nothing at the time when Emma yelled, "What will happen now?" The two maids conversed in the meantime. Isabella explained to her the reason for her call. She claimed that because the children understood their secret, she was sent there because she wanted to find out who they were. She says, "Okay, no issue." As they both stared at her, they pondered what it would be like to kill her. Abruptly, she arrived and became aware of them. Emma was checking the newborn closely in the meantime. She received nothing. Her gaze then landed on the child's ears, and it was then that she learned that the microchip had been implanted in their body. The head office received the maid report that evening. Demons, in the meantime, were overjoyed with the new group. Next day, the new maid then watched them closely, and the three of them began to plot how to take out the tracking device. After Ray reassured them, "I'll find out about it," they began to work through their main issue, how to save everyone. Next, they began using play to instruct everyone. Abruptly, the housekeeper appeared and mentioned that there was an intriguing game which I would like to try out. The maid then set out to find everyone. She was quite cunning and knowledgeable at apprehending youngsters, so she caught each one of them one by one until finally capturing Emma. However, Norman's wit won them over, and they talked about it that evening. Who is providing Mom all the reports if she doesn't understand anything? Ray then declared, "There's a traitor among us." Norman then pondered what would occur if we didn't include 2 more older children in our group. Ray then responded, if they were spies. Norman then asked Ray how long it would take to destroy the tracking device, to which he replied, 10 days. Hearing this, he said, "Okay, we'll get out of here that day." This stunned them both to hear. They told them everything that evening. When they heard that, they began to tremble in terror. Emma then audaciously urged them to leave. They then gave a nod and stated, "Okay." Since they were both aware of everything, they began to watch them. One evening, Gilda got up and left, but Emma was still awake. She walked to the maid's room, where Emma was waiting by the door to listen. If the maid disclosed everything, she would be allowed to leave. After that, she bravely left without saying anything, which made Emma very happy. Eventually, he discovers who the traitor is. That was Ray. Ray then remarked, "Okay, you caught me. What will happen next?" Norman responded, "There's no problem, and finally, we'll let you die." He then uttered, "What do you want?" "Nothing. You become our spies. You never stop sharing Mom's details with us." Ray was under the impression that only the 3 of them were fleeing this place. Nobody else was. For now, Norman says, "Okay." He then departed from there. Then he became anxious, wondering what to do next. The following day, Emma was unable to grasp what Ray said after he had told her everything. He continued, "I would not have said, but because you left the doll behind, my troubles had increased greatly. They were waiting for them in the interim." After they had returned from the forest, Emma said she would want to give them a report. She then revealed to them that Mama always vanished after 8 o'clock at night and gave them a map of the area where she might do so. Then he stated, "Let's go now," from the side. Ray then remarked, "You have lost your mind, and if you go now, you will be caught." Despite their warning, they proceeded there and began looking, discovering the concealed room, only to discover that someone was abruptly entering by opening the actual door. The fact that it was a baby gave them relief. After that, they cunningly steal the mother's key. They crept into the chamber, which had a second door leading downstairs. When they saw her doll below, they became extremely afraid. Her doll was there, along with every other child's toy. Then they start to fear more. After that, he shifted the book door by accident, which they noticed on the connection device. Following that, Ray then inquired about their whereabouts, to which she replied that they had visited the hidden chamber. Ray then proceeded to share some information with them, saying, "First, you told me about what happened to the others. Then, they thought there was nothing left to hide. Then everything was revealed to them." He then hit Norman forcefully, since he could not stand to hear this, and he fled. He went to lie to his mother about what had happened the night before while he was getting hit in the cheek. They were conversing in the interim about Flappins. They were surprised when the maid appeared out of nowhere. She said, "Don't be afraid. I have a proposition for all of you. If you can help me get Isabella out of there, then I can help you escape." He shook hands and nodded, after which she remarked, "Meet me at night to find out more," and departed. They both went to her place that evening. "Where is the tracking device?" they inquired as they entered. After showing them the gadget, Maid added, "I don't know how to waste it," adding that it was hooked to their ears. "I can assist you with cutting off a portion of the ear if needed." They left because they had no further information. They held a brief meeting the following morning, straying. They were next to the food table one day. Then, entering their home silently, she began to look about. She was startled to see a piece of paper hidden behind his bed, so she fled into her own room instead of standing there. Then, pleased to get evidence, she heard a knock on her door abruptly and turned to see it was Isabella. Send him a note and bid him farewell. She was terrified at the time. After leaving, she knelt down and was helpless, at which point she chose not to spread her. She then proceeded to the gate. Her grandmother was waiting for her. Then, using paper to tell her everything that was happening there, she assured her that Isabella had everything under control and that she shouldn't be concerned, just as I had previously managed her. After saying this, the demon killed her. Isabella then informed Ray that she was taking the sister out of there. Ray went to inspect the room after they seen her and realized she was gone, saying he didn't need her anymore. After breaking through the door, he led Ray out. They were going to make their getaway when she showed there and revealed everything. Then, when Emma refused to listen to Isabella's pleas to forget everything and return, Isabella breaks Emma's leg. She then turned to face Norman and stated, "This is your moment." Then Isabella went to get Emma up. They'll take Norman out of there first because it's his time. They were all really concerned. They began acting as though nothing had occurred to them after that. He persisted in being up on the wall, but he returned to the home after failing to see anything on the other side. Ray then took Norman by the lap and asked, "Why didn't you flee?" Then, without saying anything else, he went. Then he added, "There's a big gap in front of the wall." Norman gave them his final embrace because he was at a loss for words. Everyone said last good boy to him later that night. Then the maid left him and came to the gate like everyone else. Since then, they were so depressed that they were doing nothing and sitting in one place all day. One night, Ray asked Emma, "Didn't you forget to run away?" Then they started planning again how to escape from there. Then Ray said that the day he comes out, he will set the house on fire with oil. Isabella will be busy putting out the fire. Even if I don't stop her, I will set myself on fire. Even if she did not stop, he really set fire to him. She smelled burning and ran to see that the house was on fire. Then she was putting out the fire and they was taking the children from this side. Emma wasn't there when Isabella turned to look back, but she later noticed that she was on his tracking device. When she returned, she saw that Emma had severed her ear at the chip. They continued with everyone else after that. Demons then surrounded the entire area to prevent anyone from escaping. In the meantime, one by one, they began moving around using a rope. Isabella noticed this and went to stop Emma there, but Emma ignored her and left. Eventually, they were successful. The upcoming season will arrive soon. Please watch our channel.